The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki.
Hello, here I am. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. Welcome to the show. I am here in Los Angeles, California with my boyfriend who is now 42 years old.
Yeah, that's true.
42 years old.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, it's Chris Convy from the Courtney Show podcast.
Chris Convy, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The night on the eve of his 42nd birthday, I played Come and See, I Swear by Now. I just started playing it in bed. It's like, brr, brr, brr. It's Dave Matthews. And he goes, is this number 41? And I was like, you're damn right it is. It's the only time you can ever listen to it ever again. Because once you age out of this song, you can't go back.
Oh, and I was so sad.
It's a good song.
To not have to listen to Dave Matthews
It's a good
anymore.
song. Don't
It's
you
called
dare.
Number 41?
Don't you dare.
I'm just saying.
Wait, the song is called Number 41. It was just the 41st song he wrote, and so instead of naming it, he just called it Number 41, and it has nothing to do with the song. Anyway, the whole show is here. Brian Frangie is here.
Hello.
Check out his new clip. I posted on my story yesterday because we're recording this. I posted on my story today, but it's yesterday to you. But you can go check his new. He has a new cartoon out about Burning Man that is so funny. That is on Brian Frangie on his Instagram.
Yeah.
You go see it. Frange.
Yeah,
Brian
thank
spelled
you.
the name way you're supposed to.
And it's kind of podcast related because I went on that rant at the last episode.
Yeah.
And now you know why, because I was really feeling that.
Yeah, because you stayed up till like 3 a.m. making 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
The eve of the last podcast, making that.
Yeah, sometimes it's
cartoon.
worth it. I'm not sure if it's ever worth it to do something like somewhat topical, but yeah, I was like, oh my God, I have so many feelings about this Burning Man thing, and I just want to make a video about it. And then I'd like sacrificed like Labor Day weekend to make this cartoon. And I stayed up until 3:30 a.m. on Monday so I could release it on Tuesday. And I'm not 100% sure if it was worth it.
It's totally worth it.
I'm
It's so
100%.
But like, how many
Yeah.
times can I do that? How many days will I sacrifice to make a...
What are you,
You can't do
talking
that
about?
often.
You're an artist.
You can't sacrifice sleep.
Yeah.
You think
Once
Van
every
Gogh was
quarter.
Once a
bitching
quarter.
about being up till 3 a.m. after fucking making
Well, he
Starry
was so-
He
Night?
did not do that.
He was so tired he killed himself.
Yeah, no kidding.
He lost
went
an
literally
ear.
mad. Yeah, I would say once a quarter is when I allow myself to have those like things where I don't sleep enough and I have burnout, fatigue,
Burning Man out.
about once Burning Man out. But yeah,
you
I think it's worth
covered-
it. Go check that clip out.
You covered the socio-political spectrum that I didn't realize, like you hit something new for me where I was like, yes, like the best comedy does that. It makes you realize something you subconsciously knew but had never thought. Or
oh
you're
my
like,
God.
fuck,
Yeah.
that's why it bugs me. That's it. Like everyone I know that goes, not everyone.
No,
a
not
lot of
everyone.
people I know who go there are trust fund kids. And you're
Yes.
right. Anyway, go look at the Burning Man clip. I
That
don't want
is
to
such a good
spoil it.
compliment because, well, first of all, I purposely did not make fun of like granola hippies that go to Burning Man because I don't think that there's anything to really make fun of them for. Like the 1980s Burning Man in San Francisco, where it's just like a bunch of granola hippies going there to experience like their community. That to me is fine. It's what it's become that is the purpose of the cartoon. But what you just said was like the exact conversation I had with Allie. I walked into the living room. She's sitting there. She's watching Seinfeld in its entirety, by the way, which makes me very proud.
Whoa.
She's on season 8 right now.
That's fun. It makes you very what?
Proud.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I thought you were
Yeah.
going to say mad. I was like, yes, that's awesome.
So I walk in while she's watching season 8 of Seinfeld, and I go, I think I have to do it. And she's like, what? And I was like, I think I have to make a Burning Man cartoon, even though I don't want to stay up until fucking 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I had this discussion with her, which is almost exactly what Anya said, which is like, I don't just want to say the same thing that everyone else is saying. I need to come up. It's like also like the Rachel Ziegler thing, where it's like, I know I have an emotion about this, but I can't articulate it. And so I need to be the Fox woman of my own existence and come up with the reason why I feel this way. And I did. And I think I did. And I think I came up with a different reasoning as to why this whole, like, why was I happy that Burning Man got mudded out? Why would that make me happy? And so I explored that.
Mine's usually like I'm jealous.
Yeah. No, not me.
Yeah. You want the billionaire bros to be punished.
Yes.
As they should.
But isn't that
as they
also
should.
As they should. Call back. Isn't that also jealousy because we kind of want their money?
Well,
doesn't it all stem from that? I'm not saying that you're jealous of those people. I'm just putting it out there. Like, doesn't it stem from a place of like, why do we hate rich people? It's because they're evil and greedy and all that stuff. But don't we kind of like, aren't we a little bit like, I want it?
Well, sure. Of course we want the money. But I think my thing was,
well, I think
go ahead, Chris.
I think it's the arrogance that comes with that. Like entitlement, or like, I think the fact that you're calling out trust fund people, like they have done nothing. It's that beautiful saying that they were born on third base and they think they hit a triple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that beautiful saying that meant nothing to me until someone had to describe it. Until I had to think about it really hard.
But that happens all the time where people think that they've done something special, that they deserve to be entitled and deserve to be, a level of confidence that they haven't earned. And I think calling those people out I don't think it's based in jealousy over what they have.
But
it's
most of the people that I actually know that have been to Burning Man, that are burners, if you will, are totally cool, nice, middle class people who do not fall into that category. But I'm just taking your word for it, Brian, that there's this whole new contingent of people that have maybe ruined it.
Oh, no. Yeah. They did a study and they found that it's now over 16% of the people who attend Burning Man have a income of over $300,000 a year. So it really is like becoming a playground for the rich. And like my point of the video was to say that it's not just about being rich and like spending your money on something that you want to do, because how can you blame them for that? It's that I just feel like people who go there, they come back with an air of superiority, like they experience something so incredible, when it's like, no, you're flailing for some reason because I don't understand why you're not happy with all this money. And then you go and you think that driving around in a neon car is going to fix your fucking problem. Like that was your transformative experience.
Yes.
That you fucking climbed onto a pirate ship with a bunch of like smelly people for 10 days and danced around on shrooms. And you're telling me that that's the answer, that's what I should be doing?
This is exactly how I feel about having kids. Like when I was seeking, like, why do people want to have them? I was doing the same thing you were doing of like, this thing bothers me. I don't know why it does. I can't understand why it irks me so much. And it's more than just I'm of a certain age where it's like time to decide. It's like, and the thing is, it's the same exact root. I think people do it because they're flailing in life. And they don't have they're flailing. Flailing's a great word. That's it, where I'm like, stop pretending like you're doing it for other reasons other than you're flailing. And that's okay. Like just admit that that's it. Because I say on stage now, I don't want to give away, if you're coming to see me on tour, tickets on sale now, nikkiglaser.com. But this is one of my favorite things to do right now. And thank you to all the besties who wrote me about why you wanted kids, why you want kids, why you did want kids, why you don't want kids. Like so many people wrote me, keep sending me stuff. I might write back, just like I might heart it, but I read your paragraphs about this stuff because I am fascinated in people's reasoning. I use every answer that people have given me in my set because I want to cover them all. I don't want to leave anyone out being like, oh, she's just doing the thing where she just says the thing that she wants to prove her point. Yeah. I want to like give everyone's example so no one in the audience, which so often when I watch stand-up, I'm like, but he's not... he's making fun of vegans, but he didn't even hit my point.
Yes.
Right.
Which is like, I'm not, or whatever. Like, it's like, you just want to feel represented. Represented? Is that right?
No.
Oh my God.
Represented.
What's going on? Represented. Okay. Yes. That seems like there's not enough syllables. So, okay. But my point was, I think that, I say that people have kids because they don't have meaning in their lives.
But when you say that, you mean some people. You don't mean most people.
I think most people have kids because they need meaning in their lives. I think that is the main reason. And I don't think that's a bad reason to have kids. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that I think that's like somehow like I think that's the best reason to have kids is because, and I think it gets at the, like, I wish more people would admit that, like, I don't really have a lot going on. I need some meaning in my life. That's why people go on go to Burning Man. That's why people, they don't, because they have jobs that suck. Their marriage is kind of boring or whatever. Like or their marriage is fine, but it's just like, just scooting by. It's just kind of like, people like to like be on an expedition in life. And I say that like, I don't want kids because my life has meaning because of what I do on stage. Career. And I go, it's not because, and I'm not saying my meaning is better than yours. My meaning is actually stupider than yours. I just happen to have one that makes me not want kids. Yeah. I think that's why I don't want kids, is because I'm still striving for something. And not that if you want kids, you're not striving anymore. I know some people are like, well, I still strive and I'm Tina Fey. I still create shows and I have kids too. So her reason might be different, but I think the bulk of the reasoning is a meaningless existence and you want to fill that with it.
But then some people have a very meaningful existence. Like they have a career they love, let's say, but they have still space and time in their lives. They want more meaning. And to me, I think
they want more meaning.
Yeah. They're the type of people that want more meaning, can handle more meaning, have a partner that can help them actualize that, raise those kids, you know. And for me, I was able to be like, okay, I respect that. I just don't have the setup that would make that work. Like I would be like so anxious if I was in their shoes, because I'd be like, I can't juggle all these plates. I don't have a partner that can help me juggle these plates.
Tell me about it.
Speaking of the...
I'll juggle right now.
Yeah, you can juggle, actually.
He's looking for plates. I'll juggle right out of this relationship.
The extra syllables in the word. So you're trying to say represent. Oh my God, look, he's doing it.
He's juggling mints, a wallet, and
That's
keys.
Hard to do. Those are all different weights. Subscribe to the Nikki Glaser Pod on YouTube to see Chris juggling right now.
Juggle a pack of mints, keys, and a wallet. Wow.
Excellent. Happy birthday, Chris.
Happy birthday to us
He
hired
his own juggler.
Yeah.
So like
that's a good point.
The word represented.
I can do anything.
So you were trying to say what was it? Represented. Represented. Yeah. So like in the cartoon, there's a word that I wrote in there that's got way more syllables than I thought. So many more syllables that when I said it and recorded it, I didn't realize until later that I didn't say enough syllables. That I left out a syllable.
Yeah, I caught that.
Yeah. And then I put it in the captions, but I was like, it's just got too many syllables. I can't fit it in the whole.
What is it? I forgot.
The word is meaninglessness.
Yes. I liked it. I liked it.
Say?
He goes, meaningless.
Yeah, I accidentally said meaningless instead of meaninglessness because that's just way too, an extra.
Meaninglessness.
That's too many.
Well, your caption got me because I relied on your caption more than I think I first read it because I was in bed with Chris and I think he was sleeping or something, or I was in a car or something. I watched it when, we were in the car and you were listening to birthday messages or something. So I watched it or something. And so I just read it. Listen, who's listening to audio on anything anymore?
It's funny because he sounds like the guy from Raymore and Flanagan or something. He's like, get on down to Raymore and Flanagan.
Well,
it's a funny voice.
I don't listen to audio for podcasts. I just read the captions.
I mean, like if there's captions, I don't watch audio, and I know I'm missing a lot of nuance by that. But I just, even if I'm alone, I listen to audio, but I'm not alone ever. I feel. And so I'm always reading captions. I think it's very helpful because I think ever listening to something on your phone, this is not a new take, with other people around who are not also looking at your phone is capital R rude. Yeah. I think I don't care if it's your partner. I'll sometimes do it with you. And like, I immediately am like, oh, like the other night you were like, hey, could you we were doing the crossword puzzle and something played. And I was like, I was so humiliated because I never listened to things out loud, and for some reason, I had finished the crossword puzzle before.
I was like, "What are you doing? We're doing like a crossword puzzle challenge, and you're turning on audio. This is out of control."
I was so embarrassed. But I'm allowed to make a mistake, babe. I didn't mean to. I was so humiliated. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't," because I never do that. But for some reason, But
you didn't even realize it on your own. I had to be like, "Hey, what's going on over there?"
Well, I know. That's why I was like, "Oh my God." So I was like, I turned red in bed with my boyfriend because I was like caught doing something that I think is like a social, makes you antisocial.
That's why I was 3 minutes worse than you
because of the audio
crossword puzzle. Yeah.
I love when someone's in a group setting and they're looking at their phone and then all of a sudden a TikTok audio like blasts out of their phone that they didn't intend and they get so embarrassed. Oh my God, I didn't realize. That to me, it indicates that you are a good person. If you get embarrassed by that and you're like, oh my God, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
When I met Nikki, she was listening to music on the subway at full blast with a speaker. And she would ride her bike down the streets.
Can you imagine?
Of Manhattan.
Yeah, but that's how she made money, Chris. You know, you got to let her make money.
I would rather. I can't even imagine. That makes me so uncomfortable. Uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
English language.
You know what?
But you know when I spell it, I write uncomfortable. I was just doing the Wednesday.
That's the right,
you say Wednesday.
That's the right way.
But when I write comfortable, I write comfortable. I say it in my head.
Totally acceptable.
People often give this word an extra syllable. Oriented.
What? Orientated?
Oriented.
Yeah, they say orientated.
Yikes. I think that you can't say that anymore. You have to call it Asian. Asianated. Last night was Chris's birthday. We had so much fun. We went to what did we do? We went to dinner first.
Yeah, our favorite restaurant. Brian loves it too. Brian spent a birthday at Raos.
Oh, I go to Raos for my last 2 birthdays.
Ooh.
Yeah, we went to Raos in LA. RAO. It's so delicious. I gotta say, I don't enjoy it as much anymore because I'm vegan and it's ruined it for me because the best thing there was the seafood salad and it was $32 and I used to get it every time we dined there.
What'd you call
it? I used to call it a shirt salad because I was like, this costs as much as a shirt. And so I would always think about a blouse, a really nice shirt at like, I guess at the time I was shopping at like H&M or the Gap. Like $32, it can get you a good shirt at Zara. That's like a $32.90. Zara always has 90 as their decimals. So I was like, I called it a shirt salad. It's so delicious. My mouth is watering thinking about it right now, but I can't eat anymore. I was almost about to like cheat on being vegan, which I never do.
Oh my God, my mouth is watering. I don't even want a seaweed salad. Why are you doing this to me?
Seafood salad.
I mean,
it's lobster,
salad.
it's crab, it's calamari, and it's all in this delicious lemony dressing, and it has no lettuce. It's just all seafood. This is my mom right now. I am my mom.
Oh, really? There's no lettuce,
salad, baby. No, it's just all seafood, and it's fresh, and it's not. It's not greasy. It's not like buttery. It's just like, but it tastes kind of buttery because it's lobstery. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, now I just have to get some vegetables, and it's a little depressing. But I just love the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
it's like old school Italian restaurant.
So what do you get at Raos now, Nick?
I get a spinach, asparagus, a big plate of red sauce to dip it all in, and this salad that is really disappointing because it doesn't have Parmesan cheese on it anymore. And it used to be the fucking best salad, but like that was a key element to it, and so now it's just kind of like too much balsamic. But it doesn't matter. It's just like and I get to eat another meal later on because of all that roughage. It's like doesn't fill you up, so I'm kind of excited the whole time because I'm like, oh, I get a fourth meal today.
Fourth meal.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is fine. This will just fill me up until I get to go home and eat another thing that I have in my fridge.
Were you guys playing a game? Is that what I saw on your story?
We're always playing games.
Reindeer games.
Psychological with each other.
Hashtag Sean O'Brien.
So we played. So then after Raos, I had to go do a set. So I ran, 5 minutes over to the Improv. I took an Uber. Oh, we have to go to break. We'll tell you about it when we get back from this.
Ooh, tease.
Do tease. We're back. Brian wants to say one more thing about Raos.
I just want to say that it's amazing that we in LA get to experience Raos because as a New Yorker, Raos originally is a New York restaurant that kind of has ties to the mafia, and you're not allowed to go there. The only way you could go to Raos in New York was during COVID. For some reason, they started doing takeout orders. You could do takeout, and that was like the first time in 100 years that any connected person, whether you're a very rich or famous celebrity or a singer or a politician or in the mob, could you get one of like the 8 tables at Raos? So it really was like a magical place that was forbidden for New Yorkers. And then in 2012 or something, because of some cousin or something, they decided to open up a Raos in California, in LA, that anybody could go to. Anybody. And it's not even a dress code.
Yeah, you can get a table any night. Yes, there's no dress code, but they greet you. It feels like the real one, I would assume. I have no idea. I know that Greg Fitzsimmons' dad died at the Raos in New York.
At the real one, yeah. They're the original.
So if you have a
He died laughing really hard.
It's such a privilege to be able to go to Raos. And it's one of the few places in LA or in SoCal that has true New York Italian food. And so I love going there. And that's why I went there for my last 2 birthdays.
It's a hidden gem too, because it's not like it's off the beaten path.
Yes.
It's in a weird location.
It's in between 2 studios in LA. Yeah. It's so we dined there, and it was me, Brian's wife, Allie, and then our friend Nick, who's a girl. What we call her Nick. It confused me for a very long time, because Chris was originally friends with her, and he would always be like, my friend Nick, and then all of a sudden it was a girl, and I was like, who is she? She's great. And then his 2 other friends, Lana and Wong, you kept calling her.
Yeah, I call her Wong, but her name's Kristen.
Kristen, yes. And they were so great. And it was just, and I hadn't really hung out with them before, because they were like your work friends.
Yeah.
I'd met Kristen, but I hadn't met Lana. And they were so awesome. And they felt like new friends to me. It was just such a good night. And then I went and did a set. It went great. And then, and it was nice because everyone was like, well, go watch your set. And I was like, I like that, but there's something about it I don't like, because this is the problem. If my set just goes kind of okay, there's like I have to then hang out with these people afterwards all night long. And I just had a mediocre set. And in my head, if I have a mediocre set on my own, I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry to everyone who buys a ticket to my show. I will get over it pretty quickly, because I have to. This happens sometimes. Sometimes it's you just have a bad one. But if I have friends and family there that I then have to hang out with, and some of these people are people who have hung out with me for the first time, and it's just embarrassing. And I know that I'm way better than that, and I'm okay with it, but they don't know that. That's all they've ever seen of me. And they think that like maybe I'm one of these comics who's like tricked people into thinking I'm good, which is my secret fear anyway. And then they are going to talk on the way home like, yikes, that was like really uncomfortable. And then I have to like sit with them the whole night, and we have to like play this game. Like we were going to play a board game. So I was happy that when I did look at my phone at dinner, it was like so late that I couldn't have gotten I was going to be okay with them watching.
Right.
But I was like, okay, this is actually perfect, because I'm late for my set. We don't have enough time to corral everyone to get over there. I just have to take an Uber and fucking go. And so, yeah, so they missed it.
But you would have been a hero. Like they could have gone to that set and it could have been terrible. You pulled that heroic dinner move that you do pretty often, but it was really nice. Because, you didn't know everybody there. But Nikki did that thing where she left and gave the waiter the credit card and paid for everybody's dinner.
I slipped it in like 5 minutes into the dinner, because I knew you were going to be like 10 minutes in. You were going to sneak it and pay for your own thing. So I did this to the guy. I was like, can I get like I was asking for more sauce or something. And then I didn't even look at him, and I just put the card because I didn't want anyone to notice.
Yeah.
And I just like palmed it to
him.
He
knew.
Raos.
Yeah,
you're at Raos.
I said, go buy yourself a shirt salad.
To a waiter at Raos. No questions asked.
It's such a generous thing, but it's like such a great power move too.
Thanks.
Like you looked pretty cool.
And then I was like, babe, tip him well. I gotta go. Collect my credit card for me. You know what to do, babe. And then I jetted off. And then they came and met. All of them came over to the Improv. And the Improv fucking hooked us up with like this private room up in the green room area. They gave it to us for us to play our favorite board game, Codenames.
Brought a board game.
We brought a board game into the Improv. They didn't have a second show, so I closed out the first show, or the only show, and then we just got to hang out in this cute attic-y green room that is like perfect, beautiful couches, great, like just a great setting, a beanbag chair, and like we just sat around and played this board game Codenames that we love. Yeah. That is such a good game. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. It's so good, and we and that's like our favorite thing to do. I think as a couple with other people is play code names.
Yes.
It's like it's so fun because it's like
play?
Oh boy, how much time you got, sister?
It's
Save that
It's
for the
just
Diamond
for
Players
podcast
Club.
all I know. Oh yeah, no kidding. We'll do a special episode. We won't do that to you. Thank you to everyone, by the way, who did subscribe to the Diamond Players. I got people messaging me about our secret episode that dropped last week, and people are like, "Oh my god, you really showed up for us by giving us like premium content." I shared a story on the Diamond Players Club episode that I did not share that needs to be behind a paywall.
Yeah.
And so like I don't want everyone to have it.
Right.
You know? It's and it's
yeah,
good.
we
It's
got
a good
into
one. People
some
are
stuff there.
satisfied.
I talked about like something that was really embarrassing to me.
When it's behind a paywall, you feel safe.
Yeah.
Not
Did
that I
you
don't
feel
feel
free?
safe here with you guys, because I do. I just know that the people I'm referencing in the thing aren't going to pay that paywall. They're not going to take that stuff. They don't even know how to
so
do
you can
it.
name names.
I didn't name names, but I just know that if someone, because this is what happens. I
love
talk
naming
about
names.
something like without names.
Yeah.
And but someone
People can
listening
figure it
knows
out. Yeah.
who it is, and they go, I'm going to send it to that person so that they know that they're talking about them, because they think it's like, they'd want to hear this.
Oh, yeah, that's
because they
not
don't
good.
think, they don't see why that person wouldn't like it at all. Not that I'd ever say anything really disparaging, except about that Nepo scum that I talked about. Oh my God. That people were freaking out about. Can we talk about that for a second?
When you said the Nepo scum thing, you were in like a mood. Probably.
I was
But you
on
didn't
one.
say
Big
scum.
time.
You never said scum.
I don't think I said it. Did you listen?
Oh no.
You said like Nepo piece of shit. Twat. Maybe that.
Yeah, Nepo scum. I was like proud if I had said Nepo scum because that's so funny. I think the word scum is funny.
I heard someone
It's
yesterday
like so
say
1970s.
someone yesterday said to someone else that you are like the scum on the bottom of my shoe. And
Wait, I heard that
yeah,
too.
we both heard it.
Who was that?
One of our friends.
Oh, yeah,
It was the
yeah.
waiter at
Yeah.
Raos.
I was like, I was like,
After he saw how much Chris did.
that sounds so much worse than any other insult. Like, then to call someone, then if you said you're a piece of shit, to call someone the scum on my bottom of the shoe was so viscerally disturbing to me.
Yes.
And I was like, God.
I heard that too. And it was like a younger, kind of hipper person than me. And I felt cool because I go, I just use scum. Or at least someone said I did. So I kind of felt cool. I don't know if I called this person Nepo scum, but 2 weeks ago or something, I was talking about a friend of mine witnessing a Nepo baby scum. Berating a barista somewhere, and it was a blind item. I said it was a famous person. I gave some clues, and it ended up on Deux Moi. So one of our listeners wrote to Deux Moi, which is like this gossip Instagram account that posts on their Instagram stories blind items about celebrities, or not even blind. Sometimes they're just straight up name and names. But a lot of times people go, who is this person that someone's talking about? Let's all put on our detective hats and get out those magnifying glasses and get in there and figure it out. And then it went on the subreddit for Deux Moi, and people were talking about it. And I felt bad because I'm like, this is going to get back to that person. I just know it. Because because famous people read Deux Moi, it's almost like probably half their readership is people being like, am I in here?
Yeah.
And so I know this person reads Deux Moi because she just seems like that vapid enough to do that. And also I used to read Deux Moi. I don't anymore because it was making me upset about, not because I wasn't in it. No. Don't quote me on that. Nikki Glaser said she doesn't listen because she's upset she's not in it. Out of context, that sounds like I'm not making a joke. Please stop taking my quotes out of context so that you suck any of the funny out of them. And I sound like I'm really saying that. That's not why I don't read it anymore. I don't read it because I was just getting frustrated with people having such mean opinions about celebrities and not really knowing the other side, which you could say that for me. Nikki didn't know the other side of this person screaming at a barista.
Right.
I don't give a fuck what is going on in that person's life. You don't do that to anyone.
Yeah, so there's something like really bad about something. So I have no idea what's happening over this. I don't know who the person is or what's happening in their life, but you should not be yelling at service industry people.
Ever.
Yeah, I mean, unless they've done something absolutely abhorrent, like
Totally.
you can't do it.
But I did go on in that episode to then turn around and say, you know what? I actually have empathy for this person. They probably didn't grow up with a lot of people teaching them about how to respect other people. You know, I don't believe in free will. So this person couldn't help that their brain is a certain way that yells at baristas. So I had some sort of like maybe she comes from, she was raised poorly.
But maybe it's what I think sometimes too is it's like a one-off. Like, what if this was her worst moment?
Yes.
Because I think about that too. At my worst, nobody has witnessed, like very few people have witnessed me at my worst. But I've done things where as soon as I've done them, I'm like, if my mother were around to see this, she would be so disappointed. Or if this was on camera, I feel like I'd be toast. Like I think we've all done things
absolutely
like that.
Yes. I do want to say that. Like, I think that this could have been her worst moment, and I would forgive her for this thing, because I probably had a moment like this, not where I've yelled at a barista. I think I'm pretty good saying I've never done anything even close to that of this nature, or made someone who is working in the service industry, and I'm a famous person who got lucky enough to be paid to be hot. I don't think I would ever be mean to people who don't have that privilege. That's just me. But I also do scummy things, I think, in other ways, I'm sure. So it's, to each their own. So I felt a little bit bad because this person might see it.
Right.
And I'm like, but I also felt like if she sees it, she's not going to be like, this is me. Hey, look, you guys.
Right.
She's just going to privately go, oh boy, this was me. Maybe I won't do that again.
Maybe I need to reevaluate a few things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if she ever runs into me, we'll both know, because I know now she probably knows who I am, because she probably was like, who's this
doubt
old ugly
she has
bitch?
enough self-awareness to connect that's her. She'd probably
I love
read
the idea
it and
that
go,
like 50 celebrities were like, this was me.
Do you guys have moments though where like that you can think of? You don't have to admit them here. Where like if somebody had a camera on you and put it online, you would be mortified because you'd be like, that doesn't feel like me, but I did that.
Sure, that's how I feel right now.
The other day I had one. At the Comedy Store, I lashed out at a woman who was interrupting my set, and I went fucking ballistic. I saw red. When people talk about, like, Noah, I think you've talked about some of your like anger problems you've had in the past, where like you see red. We were even talking about it last night at dinner, and some people we were dining with had the same thing of like they quote unquote see red. I've never really felt overwhelmed by anger in a way that I just shout and scream at someone in my life. So I guess that I wasn't being very empathetic to this person who was maybe having that moment. And she could have just gotten some bad news about her aunt who's in hospice. Like, who knows what was happening to this woman at the time that happened. But boy, oh boy, I had it the other night with a woman who interrupted my set continually for about 11 minutes. She kept just saying things. First, she was supportive. Yeah, girl. Say it. Preach. Front row, right? Just like thinking she's helping. And if that happens, I usually ignore it because I'm just like, she's being nice. She likes me. Even though she's heckling, I'm not going to like lay into this lady. But then it shifted. She didn't like some of my subject matter. She wasn't even listening to the joke. She just heard the word suicide. And she's, mm-mm.
oh, God.
Ew.
Oh, God.
No. Gross.
You have a
Not
particular.
cool.
You really hate that when somebody makes you feel like you're gross.
Gross or bad.
Yeah.
Like I'm a bad person. Like that what I'm saying is like meant to hurt people, because what I got from what she was doing was not that she was hurt by what I was saying. That didn't come across. If I would have sensed that, I would not have lashed out at this person. If what I'm saying made her feel less than, that would have made me feel horrible. What she was doing was trying to make me feel like that is what I'm doing to other people. Like she's standing up for other people, and that she's saying you're a bad person for your thoughts.
It sounded like she was judging you.
Yes, and like I'm open to criticism and judgment. I'm far from even average. I was going to say perfect, but I hate when people say that. I'm not perfect. No one thought you were, bitch. I'm far from average. But and I deserve to be taken down sometimes. I mean, people write me all the time saying like, this was a bad take. And like I said, I go, okay, thank you. I sometimes am blind to it. I hear myself on things sometimes and I go, shut up, bitch. You're so mean. You're coming across way worse than you intended to. You sound so harsh. You're such a bitch.
But one of the cool things is that if somebody does say, hey, if somebody's nice to you and says, hey, that's a bad take and this is why, you'll internalize it.
Yeah. And
but some people, can't do that.
The shame is the thing I don't like, where they just want to go, you're bad. Instead of saying like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I don't think like just come at me from a place of like, do you really think I'm trying to hurt you? Because that's not what I'm doing. Like, just come from a place of like, that hurt me, even though I don't think you're a bad person. But when someone thinks like, why would you say that? You're fucked up. Like, you are an evil person, like accuses me of trying to hurt people. And maybe if I were listening to this, I'd be like, well, Nikki, the thing that you fear is usually what you are. So like maybe you're mad because people do see what you are and you are an evil person who is trying to hurt people. And when someone calls you out on it, you lash out. Like that's what I would think.
Well, no, but I think here's something that's at play is Nikki does this thing where she will go 100 miles an hour in a direction that dawns on her. So like
in a school zone.
In those moments where if somebody like has some sort of implication that Nikki can be like, oh, she's saying I'm a bad, she's saying this take I have is bad and that it's inappropriate. And then, okay, if those are
that
true,
I'm Hitler.
that all of a sudden so now I'm a bad person. And if I'm a bad person, then I'm the worst
a neo-Nazi
person. And then if I'm that, then so she just goes 100 miles an hour in this weird direction.
I totally do that.
That woman wasn't even implying what she was doing. You shouldn't be doing at a comedy club. That's terrible.
But it was just like she wanted to be heard. You know, she wanted me to address it. So at first I go, no one's going to like this. I'm not even going to share what I did because I even said to her, I go, are you going to write into Deux Moi and try to ruin my career for what I said? Like I even called her out. I was like, we'll see this on Deux Moi tomorrow, everyone.
Well, this is your next Diamond Players
Save
Club.
it for Club Diamond.
I'll save it for the Diamond Club of what I said to her because it was funny, but I will tell you, I said some things I do regret because I was in an anger rage, but she wasn't making my coffee. She was harassing
you.
She was harassing me
you at your workplace.
11 minutes, front row too. I got her kicked out of the show. Which
you were the
so
barista
good.
In that situation.
Thank you.
It's true.
Thank you. Oh, that is true.
Yeah. So the barista should have given it back to whoever that.
I will say, I go, now you don't get to see Mark Maron because he was next and she's leaving.
That's the ultimate punishment.
I know that's what her boyfriend came there for because he was like, you could tell he was like excited to be in the front row. You have to pay extra to be in the front row. Like that's a special date night. And this bitch ruined it.
I always feel sorry for those people because I think in their minds, they think they're doing the community of the audience a service, and they're not speaking for anyone. They're just too drunk. They don't go to comedy shows often, and they're just like of this little niche part of society that's like, what? Don't talk about suicide. Girl. Like you've never thought of that suicide might be controversial.
I'm just
and
like,
I just feel bad for them.
Comes at me about suicide jokes. My defense is I am plagued by thoughts of killing myself. If anyone has a right to talk about it, it's me. I suffer with the same disease that people have taken their lives with. I hate to use that little excuse because I hate when people go, I can talk about this because my brother, and everyone goes, okay, I guess you can say the R word because your brother has Downs or what? Like, why does that give you license? But everyone goes, she can. Like, it's like, I don't like that. But if I am using that defense, which every comedian does, suicide, people don't like to hear about it because everyone's lost someone to suicide, literally everyone. And sometimes it could be closer to you than it could be your father. It could be your son. It could be, and hearing the word at a comedy club could trigger you. No pun intended. But the thing is, it's not that I don't care. I don't want you to feel triggered. I don't want someone to have a panic attack at my show, but I suffer with these thoughts all the time. I have a right to talk about it. If I had a joke about cancer and someone goes, but it's like I have, if someone dies of cancer, or when someone ever dies of depression, like killing themselves, I always go, I have that same disease. I'm at a different stage in my disease than they are. The final stage of it is death. Like if you go depression all the way, if you don't fight against it, I have the same disease Anthony Bourdain had. I have the same disease Kate Spade had. I have the same disease, not Robin Williams because he had Lewy body dementia and that's what caused him to kill himself. But depression, I'm fighting it like people fight cancer, and I have a right to fucking talk about it. And so I don't want to hear, you can't say that because my dad killed himself. Well, I think about it all the time, and I also have that disease that your dad had. I have a right to talk about it. So I'm sorry that your dad is gone to this thing that I'm talking about. I'm sorry you're triggered at my show, but don't go to a comedy show if you have these sacred cows. And if you do, excuse yourself to go to the bathroom like I do when something offends me at a show. Like if I'm watching a movie and something starts triggering me, I leave. I cover my eyes. I don't go, no, boo, bad take.
Well, and I think people that go to comedy shows need to understand too that what they're witnessing isn't some final product. You're witnessing like somebody in the middle of like painting a picture, and you're judging it as if it's some final thing. Like you're working through thoughts and ideas and jokes, and it's not like this perfectly formed thing that you want to share with the world. You're sharing it with 150 people at a small comedy club in Los Angeles, or maybe with the fans that have paid to come see you at a big theater in Seattle. So it's like what they're seeing isn't a final take on something.
Yes. Thank you for saying that too. It's and there are shows where it should feel and there's been times where I like this one. I really stand by this joke because it is done, and I feel like I'm certain the joke she got offended by and then the later joke she got offended by are both jokes that I really stand by, and I feel like I have a right to talk about them. But there are times where I just am working something out and I have the wrong fucking take.
Yes.
So wrong. And I'm like, I'm glad.
I've seen it.
Yeah, where you go, don't do that. Yeah. And we talk about it later and I go, oh, you're right. Like it is a molding process. But afterwards Mark Maron came up to me because I brought him up and I just was like, because I had just thrown her out. It was a big to-do. And I never throw people out. I will say the only time people get thrown out of my shows is because the security comes and gets you. I'm never like, get her out of here. I've maybe done that once before, I think, where I've said, get her out of here. And this woman I was trying to bargain with, I go, I have 3 more minutes. Can you handle it? Can you I go, just shut up for 3 minutes. Close your ears, earmuffs. And I go to the bathroom or something, but she wouldn't stop. Maybe because I wouldn't either. Because once I was unleashed, because that's also like, people don't know at comedy clubs, like when someone's in the front row talking just this loud, like just even talking this loud, we as comedians can hear everything, but even 2 rows back, you can't hear that person at all because they're in front of you. And the way the acoustics are, it's like she's whispering in my ear the entire show. So when I finally snap, everyone's kind of like, what is, she's being such a bitch to this woman who wasn't doing anything. But I will tell you, I felt so great because the audience, even after I said some of the nastiest things ever, the audience was going, Nikki. Like that's never happened to me in my life where people start chanting my name. And I instantly shut it down because I felt bad because this girl is walking out very drunkenly. Yeah. And that I didn't know how wasted she was either. And I would have maybe acted with a little more empathy if I knew she was that drunk. I thought she was pretty clear-headed at the time.
Can I ask for my own edification? Is that how you would say that you write jokes? Is that you start off with an emotion and then you just kind of explore that on stage?
Yeah.
So you're feeling really something. That's really, informative.
Like you said, like you felt something about Burning Man. You're like, how do I get to this? But I'm starting with a feeling. Yeah, that's a really good point. And sometimes the feeling, I throw it out there, like it will be bubbling inside me. And I'm like, I don't even know how to say this on stage. And I think about it a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's like something that's just like roiling around in my head. And then on stage, I just have a moment where I'm like, oh, this seems like a good time to like put this out. I'm kind of killing. I'm in the pocket. And I put it out there and it fucking thuds on the floor. And then sometimes you throw it out and people go, whoa, we like that. And you go, oh my God, there's something there. And then you go, whoa, I didn't even know something would be there. I think that's true. I think that's probably how you write music too, Anya. Like, is like you have a feeling you need to get out.
Well, you said in the pocket, which I is so like a musician's term. And I love that you said that because I feel that way once in a while, playing live, but also like recording, you want to be in the pocket. So it is such a good feeling, but it's almost like surfing. Like a surfer is great because he or she is harnessing the power of this thing that's completely out of their control. And when you can figure out that magical thing, it's magic, right? Like the wave is incredible. Your take on the wave is incredible. It's the same with music. And I think it's the same with comedy. It's like what you're talking about is almost like a conversation with the audience, or you're like harnessing their laughter and you're like, oh, this is something important. I can work with this. They're
That's so true. They're like direction. The wave because you need their support, whether it's like their rapt attention which you can kind of feel of their silence, just listening and hanging on your word. Like last night was like electric. I was doing my bit about not wanting kids and why people want kids. And I heard women go, yes. Oh my God. And one girl goes, that's so true. Like, I love that stuff. And like, there was a point I made that like people hadn't connected yet. And by the way, it's not all like, don't have kids. I have women coming out to me being like, I have kids. That's so true. And then I have other women being like, I just had a hysterectomy. Thank you for saying that. I can't have kids. And I needed to hear all of that. So it's like, it's really nice to hear both sides. But then we had the best game night last night.
Wait, what did Marin say?
Right? Oh, wait. Yeah, Marin, he was just like, it happens. He came up to me after his set and was like, ugh, and he was like, I think he said you handled it well. Maybe I just inferred that, but it sounded like I did handle it as well as could be with how I lost my temper. Usually I don't handle those things well and it gets really awkward. And I felt like I was victorious, but I did go backstage afterwards and I was just alone in this green room, like panting and my heart was racing. And I was like I felt like I relapsed. Like I felt like I decided to do a drug or take a drink after like a really long time of not doing it. So I felt like this surge of like, it's adrenaline. I mean, anger is like when you lock into it and ride that wave. Woo!
That's why I try to make you angry all the time.
Yeah, I was going to ask about your physical responses.
I locked into so much. What was that? I was
going to ask about your physical responses. Like, did you feel anything in your chest?
Yes. You felt
like your heart palpitating?
You know what I felt was that it was like I went into, anger, I almost want to tap into it more because the stream of consciousness, things that I said in this moment where I just decided like, I'm going to be mean to a girl very loudly in front of 500 people. Which I am so scared of women and I'm scared of men too, because I'm scared men will call me fat or ugly, which they, did very frequently to girls in high school. And I still have that fear of boys just being like, well, you're ugly. And then you like are shut down. But girls, I have another fear of just them not liking me. I would never yell at a woman unless I felt she was like a scum, And I felt like this woman was scummy. And when I decided when the switch turned to like, you're going to go off and stop trying to negotiate with this woman, you're about to just destroy her. It was like riding a wave. I didn't have to think. Funny things just came out of my skull. The meanest things I've ever said in my life came out of my skull. I was hanging 10 smoothly on a giant wave. It felt, I didn't have to do anything. I was on autopilot. That's how I relate to it. I had pressed cruise control on a highway going 85, where you're like, I'm going too fast and this is kind of dangerous, but I've got control and I'm locked in, baby. And one's going to, and there's no cops afterwards? Around. Yes.
Did you feel exhausted afterwards?
Yes. I felt like I had just gotten into
from stress.
It was the cortisol probably pumping through my veins. I mean, I've never been this lit up before. I mean, it's been years since I have been this angry in my life. To scream at someone.
They say that sort of that moment where it's like almost the fight or flight sort of reaction takes like 8 hours to come down from.
Whoa!
That your body doesn't regulate.
Oh my God!
For 8 hours,
That makes sense.
That explains why I had to like OD on melatonin that night. It was so fun.
That's why anger is bad for us.
I don't know. Releasing it felt really good. I'm not kidding you. I want to do it more.
Oh my God.
I think I need to get my anger out more.
You're an addict.
I am. That's totally it. Like I am an addict. Like I want it more of feeling like I don't have to think. It was the only time my brain really could shut off. Noah, do you relate to that? I think when I've heard people talk about they go into like they start screaming at someone, they don't have to think. It just comes out. It's like something. You get possessed. I didn't feel, for the first time, I didn't have to try. And usually I feel like Taylor Swift in the song Mirror Ball. I've never been a natural. All I do is try. Like I feel like I'm always trying so hard. And this time I just clicked over into this mode There was no effort. It just came. It was like the real me coming out.
Oh no, the angry you is the real you.
But I think I push down anger so often because it's a feeling I'm deeply uncomfortable with, is feeling that out of control. But it felt so good because it didn't feel like my fault. It felt like, if any example of no free will, it was that my thoughts to my mouth there was no one going like, maybe don't say that. It was a free, all thoughts out. Come on, go. Right. We need to go. There's a fire sale. Like everything just spilling out. No thoughts. There was no planning. And it felt great because I'm always planning what I'm about to say. I'm always second guessing myself. And there was just no border control at all. It was awesome. And that felt cool. There was something about it that felt like that's maybe authentic, but not really authentic because I was saying horrible things.
But the only difference between the person who yelled at the coffee barista and you in this situation is, and it's a huge difference, is you felt justified, like you were being wronged, and so your anger was like but I'm just sure in some way. Wronged.
I bet in her mind,
right? I think. Well, yeah, I think in those moments, those people, because you see those videos of people like yelling at airlines employees.
Yes.
And you're like, they can't do anything about it, but those people don't know what to do with their anger.
Oh, and it gets worse and worse because once they lock in, they can't back down, so they got to go to the next level.
And they all think that they're right.
Oof. Oh yeah, you're right. I was one of those people. I'm not.
Well, you weren't. I'm not saying that you were, because that woman was obviously doing something wrong.
I went too hard. There's no question. I went too hard. Well, now that I know, we have to go to break. But there's no question I went too hard. I just there's something. It was the first time I've ever done that drug. It was my first time I'd ever really let that out. I mean, Anya, you've seen me go on like angry rants about different people. Noah, you've probably witnessed it too. Chris, you've witnessed it. Even being like, and this girl's this, and da-da-da-da, and like hating someone.
Well, I've seen you be very angry just in normal life.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
We'll find out about it when we get back from break. Welcome back to the show.
It's like
so we are having
planet.
Technical issues, and there is a 8-second delay between me and Chris and the rest of the show. Mm-hmm. So we tried to figure out a way to maybe get this more smooth, but there's nothing we can do. So you're not going to hear from Brian or Anya or Noah the rest of the show because it's too long of a delay, and we just can't do it. So the rest of the show,
we can toss it over to them for comedy for
I think
at one point.
They're leaving though.
They're not Are they leaving?
Maybe not.
You guys don't want to
staying.
watch this.
We're gonna stay.
They're staying. Okay, good. Okay, so we're just gonna talk.
This is exactly how telephone conversations were with my mom and her relatives in Russia. Like it would be a 13-second delay.
Or like when you have like terrible phone cadence with somebody, and you start talking, and then you're like, no, you go, and then you go.
We've done that before. Like when we're on the phone, and and then it just like creates this tension,
and it's like, let's break up. we've broken up 3 times because of that.
And it's usually because I go, you're breaking up,
and I go, yep, I think we should.
Yeah, yes, I think I am. Okay, so we wanted to just say the one thing that we teased on yesterday's episode, that Chris and I, what happened to us 2 days ago when you went into town, or I guess it was the next day. We went out to lunch at this place that, I call it Chintzy Servings. And it's this Middle Eastern place that's really delicious.
Oh, yeah.
And last time we went there when he was in town, they just, when you go to these places like a Chipotle or a Subway, and they don't give you the amount that they should. And you're just kind of like, can I get some more? And usually they go sure. But this place has an amount that they give you, and that's it. And they are rationing food like it is Firefest 1. It is. It's so strange, these portions. And I'm not someone who is I just want more because I'm not trying to be yelling at a barista. I'm trying to be. I just couldn't. So I went I
kind of liked what happened because so often in these situations, there's a tension between a service worker and somebody who is trying to get some service, and it ends up being an ugly situation if anything is out of the ordinary. Because if somebody just acts a little bit goofy, then things can go south quickly, as we know from the scum, Nepo baby scum.
This is all like connected. This is
connected.
Strange that this is stories coming out.
But there was charm to what was happening with you.
Thank you. I love that word.
Yeah, there was some charm to it. But he was receptive to the charm. That was kind of the magical moment, because
we were flirting, had a connection.
What it felt like to me was it could have been a pressure, it could have been a disaster.
Your laughter helped, because then you weren't like horrified by what your girlfriend was doing, which I think in many ways you were, but you instead bolstered it with a laugh to ease the tension.
Because there was a moment where you could have looked like a crazy Caucasian
Karen.
Yeah,
I could have looked like Nepo Scum.
You could have looked like Nepo Scum-ish, but you didn't. You didn't.
But that was not ever my intent to make it feel bad.
It was never your intention at all.
I just know that lettuce don't cost no thin. Like iceberg lettuce costs nothing. And if you're and you have the whole thing of it, and you're being weird about it, and I am a vegan, so like I'm not getting meat. I'm not getting the halal,
and the expensive stuff.
And I understand when a portion is a portion, and these people have to do portion control because they're not making a lot of money. Restaurants are struggling. I'm not trying to be someone who's screwing over a restaurant by being like, if you go to Chipotle, you could actually get more if you have them put it into a separate container, and then you get more meat. Like, I'm not trying to do a TikTok hack of a business.
But let me set the table here. Nikki went in knowing that.
Oh yeah, we went in knowing.
Nikki knows that this place does not have massive servings.
We actually tried to go somewhere else because this place didn't have good servings.
But this place is really good.
Yeah.
And I liked all the people there last time.
I'm a fan now. I'll go back. I don't care if they do chintzy servings. Yes. Chintzy feels like it's a slur, and so I'm going to keep saying.
Did you look it up?
No, but I think it's I don't believe it's a slur. So if it is, I do apologize, and please correct me.
Maybe one of you, Brian, Noah, or Anya, in 10 seconds when you hear this, can look up if it's a bad thing. Because every time you say it, I tense
it's like the word spigot. You feel I'm telling you, it's okay to say.
Okay.
It's like the faucet. It's the little part of the faucet where you drink from is the spigot, but it sounds like you're saying a bunch of different slurs all mashed together.
There's one that's really bad.
It's like a goulash of slurs. Which one?
I'm not even going to say.
Oh, when people are now still saying the gypsies are a people that you can't say I got
gypped
anymore. That's but people say it all the time still. And I kind of tense up. Like, there might be some gypsies around who are going to get offended. Right. But they never are.
You know what else I hear that is not cool is
they're
ghetto.
Roman.
They roam.
Stop saying
they're
ghetto.
Roman.
I'm just talking through
ghetto also. Good point. No more ghetto.
Why do people think that's okay? That was like 15 years ago. You couldn't say ghetto, and people still say it.
Yeah.
Although I do still love that Elvis Presley song.
Oh, the In the Ghetto? Like a Christmas song?
It's not a Christmas song.
Isn't it like Christmas in the Ghetto?
I don't think
I think it's about Christmas in the ghetto. I don't know.
I don't think so. Okay, so here's
It's Hanukkah in the
Here's
ghetto.
a scenario. Nikki walks in. She knows that they've got terrible servings.
Oh, yeah. I'm
so
already in.
She does like her order, and they ask everything that you may want. Like, it's a one-step
I go,
process.
I'm going to get a big old plate of veggies. I opened it like that. I'm like, he goes, which meat? And I'm like, no meat, just a big plate of veggies, please.
And then he's like, do you want this? And Nikki's
like, yes.
Yeah.
And so he has these tongs, and I swear, like, it would be as if you were garnishing a piece of salmon with some parsley. Is the amount, I wish I could give you an example. Okay, I will. These keys. This part of the key fob, is the amount of tabbouleh that was in one serving. Like this amount of this key fob for a plate of tabbouleh is a parsley / grain salad. It was a spoonful, maybe two tablespoons. It was, and also a cabbage slaw that was just purple cabbage and some vinegar and some salt. That was it. Like, I'm not asking for more of I didn't even ask for more baba ganoush because I'm like, that's eggplant. Eggplant's expensive.
Okay.
Like, I was going for the iceberg lettuce.
Yeah.
And I got, and so you could give me the serving and I'll say what I remember I said.
Okay.
So give me so tong out the serving.
Okay.
Just mime it.
Here.
Oh, what is that? Come on now. That's a serving? You could do better than that. That's not a serving. Was that kind of the vibe?
Yeah, that was the vibe. There was a little bit of charm. It wasn't rude. It was like, and he smiled. He gave a knowing smile.
Yes. And I go, is that really what a serving is? And I was saying it with a smile too, because I wasn't trying to be rude. I was just trying to call them on their shit.
But this guy got a memo from corporate like 6 weeks ago, being
his
like,
boss is at the fucking spit behind him, carving the meat.
We're running out of tabbouleh too quickly here. Like times are tough, and like we didn't raise our prices because of inflation or whatever. But he smiled and gave you some more, and then it happened again, and you were like, come on.
Yeah, I go, what is that?
And then he said something back that was kind of funny.
It was a funny amount of like, it was like a garnish. Like it was so funny.
I wish he would have, with the second thing you ordered, just like given you like 1 carrot or something.
Yes.
That would have been the ultimate move by him.
But I think they were charmed by me. And as a woman of a certain age, like I'm getting up to the point where like, I'm not like a cute young girl where people are like constantly just like, always
no,
like I'm 39, like I'm not getting that like fun flirty energy from old men anymore.
Even
like,
me.
Yeah, I really don't. Like I'm never like, I've never once floated or existed on my cuteness or something. I've never been a girl that like, can I just get a little more by like doing a smile and a wink? Like I don't think that way, but I do feel like there was some feminine charm coming through. Like I do feel like I charmed them in a sincere way that I felt like they got me.
You were charming and he received it perfectly, and then he was charming back.
And then I tipped him for a thing that you shouldn't tip for, because they're, like,
yeah.
I mean, I always tip those places because people are always complaining now about like they turn the screen around and then you tip them for your to-go order. I don't think everyone should do it. I don't think everyone is required to do it. If you have a lot of money, you 100% should tip, even if they've done nothing. I just always give a tip. I don't tip at the like when I do. There is a tip. This is insane. There is a tip at the self-service kiosk at LaGuardia Airport, where you have to do your own
everything you do.
Scanning, and I go, is this going back in my account? Like, am I tipping myself? Who's getting this? Wow. There's maybe one person kind of watching all the kiosks, so I'm like, oh, maybe it's that person, and that person deserves more than what they're being paid, I'm sure. So I think I've even done it on that, but that's where I start to go, this is weird.
That is a bridge too far.
But if you are getting DoorDash or Uber Eats or anything like that, you better fucking tip at least 20%. And if you can't afford it, you can't get Uber Eats or DoorDash. It's part of the deal. And I know there's a service fee, and I know that it's so expensive. Final thought. I know that you're probably mad at me right now because you're like, Nikki, I can't afford it and I still deserve Uber Eats. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like these people need to make a living, and they need you. If you take an Uber service, you got to tip. And when I ask Uber drivers, they get a tip 50% of the time.
No way.
50% of the time. And that is across.
But I don't think you have to say 20%. 20%, like they have to give some. 15% is a normal.
I'll accept.
Is a normal tip.
Totally.
That we're now living in a world where 20% is now more normal. 25%, and yeah, people still. I mean, they can't get Uber Eats all the time, but it's like, get that Uber Eats, give them 15%. That is a deal. They're not making enough money. I have friends who are doing that gig kind of stuff where they do they drive for Uber Eats and Grubhub, and they rely on your tips, unfortunately. And I know that like this problem of like we shouldn't tip because we need to tell our government to pay people more, and we shouldn't be a tip economy. Yeah. We should be more like Europe. But at the same time, these people need to make money. We're living in this world. I know there's a delay, but I want to hear what Brian, Noah, and Anya have to say about the tip scenario. Brian.
No, I agree with what Nikki just said, which is that thank you for welcoming me to the show. Hello, good morning, everybody. No, I agree with what Nikki just said in that.
He's doing it on purpose now. He's just like delaying himself. So we think he's in
it would be nice if it was more like Europe, and instead of having to tip someone so that they're getting paid a fair wage, they were just paid a fair wage, and these rich CEOs weren't passing on the money to pay their employees to the customers. Yeah. All right, Noah, what do you think?
I always tip, even if it's like a little bit. I would never just tip a robot for packing my own luggage or doing my own tags. Agreed with Nikki on that.
Yeah. You got to tip. Anya? I heard it's 25% now. I always tip 20%. unless somebody was a dick, and then I might do 15. But I didn't tip my voice teacher the other day, and I found out that there's a tip on. I didn't know I was supposed to tip my voice teacher. There's like weird.
You're not. I asked you because
like,
I'm seeing. I took a lesson from Anya's voice teacher, and I go, "Did you tip her?" Because she sent me a Venmo request, and I think when you pay for goods or services on Venmo, it now just puts in the tip thing. I don't think she expects it. I just was wondering.
Oh, right.
Did you tip? I did not tip for that because I feel like it's part of the price. Well, I think you give a Christmas bonus to people that are in your life like that.
We have a masseuse called Mario Masseuse, and he is like, no, this is how much it costs. You do not give me a tip.
Yes, I love that.
Bartenders, like service workers, are often the best tippers, and I think it's all of us tipping 20% or 25% or whatever it is definitely good. But I think if you aren't like absolutely crushing it, 15% is like the normal tip in America. We don't need to get into like crazy inflation rates. If you can do 20%, I think you should. But if it's like, you're not crushing it, like it's like if you're
rich, you should be tipping 30 plus.
If you're a teacher, you're not making that much money. You still deserve Uber Eats. Tip 15%.
Agreed.
Don't feel guilty about that.
You got to give something. Yes,
tip your teachers.
I will say that.
Tip your teachers.
Honestly, I mean.
Seriously, why don't we?
People might think it's bribery.
But the problem is rich people are greedy fucks. And when I'm telling you that you should tip something, I'm talking to rich people that are like well off, who have more than $300,000 to their name in like that they can get in access to. You need to be tipping 30%. You're being stingy. And I know I know that's how you got rich, is being stingy. I'm tired of rich people being stingy. I see it too fucking often. Everyone needs to be like Drew Carey. And if you can afford it, you need to spread the wealth because you realize you're a lucky ass person.
That's true.
Drew Carey tips $100 to every single person he encounters because he is that Price is Right money. He is never going to run out of money. He knows that in his lifetime, he'll never be able to spend it. And he spreads the wealth.
$100 to somebody who's just like working, like if they're a valet, if they're like a busboy, if they're a waiter. That's a day maker for some people.
It really $100 is such an exciting thing. And when I heard about
an Uber driver,
you want to hear the coolest fucking thing I heard about Drew Carey? We'll find out in 8 seconds if Brian already knows what I'm about to say.
I don't know what you're about to say. I'm sorry. I was waiting because I thought you were going to say something and I was going to react after that. But no, I don't know what Drew Carey did.
Okay, Drew Carey has a deal that at Swingers and like Joe's cat, like some kind of like Big Boy, Bob's Big Boy. Do you know this, Anya?
No.
I mean, I probably shouldn't spread the word because it's costing him so much money. If you are a member of the WGA or SAG, I believe it's SAG, but it's definitely WGA. If you go to Swingers, you can say, put it on Drew Carey's tab, and he picks up the tab. Oh, it costs him $30,000 a week. But if you dine at those two restaurants in LA during the strike, Drew Carey will get and you are a member of the union, or I believe it was WGA for sure, and it might also be SAG. It's costing him $30,000 a week. And he said he started doing it. This is all just hearsay, but I guess he started doing it when the first strike happened. And it was before social media. So it was costing him like, a couple grand a week. But because of social media and people spreading it, it's now upwards of 30 a week. But how fucking cool is that? And those restaurants, I mean, Swingers is not cheap. Yeah. Swingers is a nice place. I don't know about Big Boy, sounds like it's a little bit more affordable, but like that is so cool. That is what rich people should do. And I need to do a better job of it, but I need to look more at my money and see what I can give away because we really should be doing more.
Right.
People that can afford to need to be doing as much as possible and giving back. And I'll say one last thing. Tim Dillon made me laugh so hard on his podcast this week because he said that Big Daddy Zaslav, what's Zaslav's first name?
David
Zaslav, who is like one of the executives. Which one is he? Sony?
No, he's it's Warner Discovery, right?
Okay. Yes. Okay. So Big Daddy Zaz, he said that people are, first of all, Tim Dillon said his mom died and her dying words were, pay the writers. Which is like the funniest thing I've ever heard of my life. That's all she wanted was just pay the writers. And then he also said his mom died because she didn't want to live in a world where Tucker Carlson wasn't on TV. And so, see, I mean, Tim Dillon's podcast is full of fucking gems.
Oh, God.
But then he also said, people are mad at Big Daddy Zaz. That's what he calls him. People are mad at Big Daddy Zaz because he decided to pay himself $250 million. And you know what? What's he supposed to do? If he doesn't know his worth, who will? You have to know your worth. So he made it into this thing of like, know your worth. It's so fucking funny. It's one of my favorite things to do is listen to Tim Dillon's podcast with Chris.
And he and Giannis were like,
Giannis Pappas,
they were like, why can't you be for the Russians and the Ukrainians?
Yeah, they just want to play both sides. They want to be with
support the writers and Big Daddy's ass.
Why can't you do both? He said, if you want me to star in every Netflix show, I will. If no one's going to work for Netflix, I will.
Yeah.
Tim was like, I'll reprise Girls. I'll be Lena Dunham's character. It's so funny. I really love it. And man, it makes me laugh. I implore other people to get into that because it's been a while since I've like loved a comedy podcast so much that I listen.
Do you feel like you needed to like some sort of a setup for Tim? Because I feel like for me, I've told other people to listen and they're like, well, he's saying some crazy stuff. And you're like, no, he's doing this is a thing. He's being hilarious.
The Colbert Show kind of like, yeah he's knows what he's doing.
He's taking the wrong side of things, sometimes on purpose to be funny.
Yeah. He told Lizzo that she needs to get thin now because the fat people have abandoned her, that she flew too close to the sun. I think he makes these outrageous statements of like, Lizzo, leave the fat people behind. They abandon you. He said something else that is so crazy that I can't repeat it on here. No, but God, it made me laugh because it's so outrageous. And it's
you did
really
say it on here. The piggies have left the barn or something.
No, I didn't say it on here. I don't think I said it on here.
You did.
Oh, well, he said, leave the pigs in the barn, like leave the cows in the barn or something. Like, it's just, that's funny to me because no one should call fat people cows. No one should imply that they're in barns. No, it's an insane thing to say. And that's why it makes me laugh. It didn't make me laugh because I'm like, yeah, fat people are cows. No. Please no. And by the way, Tim Dillon is a fat person. It's funny to come out from it's so funny. And then he did this whole song as Lizzo about like she would be like when she's like her song when she gets thin. And it's so funny.
And then somebody made it into a real song with like auto-tune.
Yes, it was so good.
Nothing is making me laugh harder than his podcast these days.
Nothing. And I was listening one day and he was talking about Taylor Swift and he said in the middle of it, he goes, Nikki Glaser's going to be very mad about this. And I was so fucking happy I got name checked. I was like, it was one of the greatest days ever. I was like, yes. I'm just such a fan.
Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing.
He is.
And to get it feels good to get what he's doing.
Yes, if you're offended by him, you don't get it.
You have to get it.
And you have every right to be because it is offensive on paper. But I promise you I'm not laughing at leave the cows in the barn, Lizzo.
Yes.
It's funny that he would tell her to do that. And that's an outrageous thing to say. And sometimes the outrageous things make me laugh, but I'm not signing on to fat shame. And that's not what he's doing either. He's just saying things to be funny. And I think sometimes that's what I do. And it gets taken out of context. And I'm not as brilliant as Tim Dillon. And so sometimes I say things and out of context, they sound fucking crazy. If you don't know that I'm saying them with a, like sarcastically.
Like satirizing something.
Yes. Satirizing.
Satirizing.
Satirizing and thing. All right, guys, that's the show. Sorry for the delays. Sorry we lost Anya and Brian and Noah at the end of it, but we made it through. We weathered the storm. We'll be back next week. I'll be back in studio. Everything will be fucking seamless as shit. I can't even wait. Thank you, Chris, for joining us on these 2 episodes. You'll be back again. Don't even think you won't. We lived in together now, bitch. Chris is living with me. We'll have updates on that. We're living together starting next week. Mm-hmm. It begins.
Well, it began like 2 days ago.
I know. We're together forever, baby.
Yeah, Disasters ahead.
Yep. Imminent. We'll see you next week. Check out my tour dates, nikkiglaser.com. Can't wait to see you out there. Chicago and Peoria coming up very, very soon. Anya will be on that tour as well. And we have new merch and so many exciting little treats lined up for you. So we'll see you next week. Don't be and just tip 15% at least.